Hannah, it's great to see you here at the Sustainable Living Festival here in Hobart. I just wanted to ask you a little bit about what it is that you do, and so if you can introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about one of your favourite projects that you're working on at the moment, which I believe is the Compost Kings and Queens, which sounds really fun.
That's right. Look, as you said, I work with a variety of things, including compost, but how I generally describe myself is I work with urban agriculture projects and community development. So food and people is what I specialise in. Everything from school and community gardens to urban orchards, but also permaculture. And so permaculture is a design system for sustainable human settlements. So I teach people how to live sustainably in every possible facet of their life, which is pretty fun. But yes, as you mentioned, one of my favourite projects is the Compost Kings and Queens, where we're working really closely with 30 households to support them to compost all their food waste at home. And we're having a bit of fun with it. So we're going to support you to become compost royalty. And so we're having some good workshops, some good compost parties, and we're not taking it too seriously, although we are addressing some pretty major issues in reducing food waste ending up in landfill. So we're having a good time with that one.
So what does it mean to be compost royalty? Like what does that look like for someone in their home?
Yeah, well basically it looks like a pretty empowered person, feeling pretty equipped and full of knowledge and skill about taking their food waste in whatever shape or form, putting it into a variety of compost systems, a worm farm, a compost bin, compost tumbler, your chicken pen, and processing it or composting it over a period of time. And of course at the end of that you have this nutrient-rich compost which you can use to grow your own food in small spaces. So we're really highlighting about, even though we live in a city and we've got quite a lot of constraints and constrictions, we can still produce a lot of food that we require for a healthy diet. So it's pretty exciting.
It is exciting, and so one of the things that people do say is, I live in a city, I live in a small space, but what would be maybe your top 3 tips for somebody who's feeling like they want to make some changes and some sustainable changes in their life, but they're living in an urban environment? What would be your top 3 tips for someone to get started on the adventure to eventually maybe one day be a compost king and queen? But what would you start with?
Look, I would start with becoming aware of your food waste. We all have it, and some people have quite significant habits of food waste. So, get aware of that, but also just start. So if people have no earth at all, so they can't have chickens, they can get a worm farm fully enclosed. So you can compost on an apartment balcony. That's a great first step. Second step is to grow some of your own food, and it might just be one herb in one pot on your balcony again, or it could be a raised garden bed if you've got mobility issues. That's another fantastic step. And the third thing I'd say is get to know your local community, because a huge amount of people out there have the knowledge that you need to get, and they really want to tell you about it. They just have to meet them. And so I'm a big fan of the neighbourhood barbecue. Just, let a box in the street and get everyone over and have a yarn, and especially about food issues. People love talking about food.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much for talking with me today and for inspiring so many people with your wonderful wisdom. Thanks, Hannah.